So today we are actually going to be answering and diving in to the most common questions of site preparation. What is it? Why is it an additional fee compared to additional to concrete? And just so much more. So stick around and let's get right to it. Welcome back, Pack. Adbeel and Blanca here from WolfSteel Buildings. And Blanca is our site project coordinator. Now, if you subscribe to our channel, you should have already met Blanca. If you are waiting for site preparation quotes and estimates, you're definitely going to be talking with Blanca. And if you've already bought a building and we did the whole project from start to finish, you definitely have talked to Blanca. So Blanca here is an expert at looking at dirt all day long. That's what she gets paid for.
Yeah, definitely. Playing with dirt is my expertise.
So today we're actually going to be answering and diving in to the most common questions of site preparation. What is it? Why is it an additional fee compared to additional to concrete? And just so much more. So stick around and let's get right to it.
What is site preparation? Site preparation can be as simple as us going to the customer's site and begin to remove any trees, shrubs, weeds, and of course that top layer of grass, if you have any, right? So after that, we just begin to literally grade your ground and then make it as flat as possible. And that's that.
And leveling is really bringing in alien material to really compact, level that site out really nice. And typically what we will bring are two different types of material, and this is in Texas that we're talking about. That's the state we service. Again, don't mess with Texas. So we would bring select fill, or we can bring in base. Select fill is mainly a mixture of rich soil and clay, and that is most commonly used in this part of Texas. And base is a little bit more of a granular, fine, like rock that has been made into like a thin, granular, thin base. And that we use in this area, mostly like Austin, San Antonio area, where it's like more rock grounds. And so what we do to level is we bring one of these materials, and if your ground, let's just say this is your ground, we're basically needing to level and create a nice, solid site that is flat to be able to receive the concrete. So it's very simple as that. So what factors create site prep to vary in price? So the first thing, in order to really determine site prep, we have to go out to the job site. That's the very first step. Once we look at your site, the number one thing we gotta determine is how much dirt do we gotta bring in?
Right.
We take out our laser and we are basically calculating the off levelness that your pad or where you want your location is to determine how much off levelness there is. Okay, that will determine the amount of dirt that we need to bring. Now we can get from a cost of like just $500, one little truckload of dirt, up to we have Austin who needs about $18,000 worth of dirt. Austin is a project coming up. Stay tuned for that project. We're bringing in a ton of dirt.
Yeah, and by a ton, I mean about 680 yards, which is equivalent to about 45 truckloads.
So that's going to be a lot of dirt. And also in that dirt work is also including that we need to compact it. We really need to compact the ground so it doesn't settle later. That is a big factor when it comes down to site prep. And a lot of times, if you look at your site just from your naked eye, I find that it's always twice what you see. So if I look at the site, I'm like, it's gonna be about 5 inches off level. It's gonna be about 10 to 12 inches. Once you really take out that laser and really do measure how off level it is. Now, next thing that varies in price is, if you see in the line item when we quote you is reinforced footers. What does that mean? So let me explain about that. So that way I can make it nice and big. So assuming that this is your ground right now, okay? So let's add that slope, because no ground is level, correct, Blanca?
That's right.
So the black is your current ground right now. We're looking at it and it's a certain off levelness. Then we need to bring in what's red is alien soil, which, as I mentioned, select fill or base, and we compact it well to make a nice flat ground. And we're gonna assume that that is 18 inches off level. And certain buildings, depending the width, the size of the building, and the weight of it, if it's a red iron or if it's a tubular, will require certain footers. Let's just assume this is a 30 wide structure that is a tubular building, requires 12-inch footers. So because we got 18 inches off level, here's your tubular building. The footer that we have to have minimum is 12 inches, but we have to go 12 inches into undisturbed soil. So that means I have to go in all the way down. So in other words, it's 12 inches plus fill. So if the fill is 18 inches and 12 inches, we really have to reinforce your footers and go down 30 inches to be able to create a solid footer that really will help support the structure. So that is another factor that we can't determine how your footer have to be until we go out to your job site and really look at your site. Now, Blanca, talk to me about sites where they are like in flood zones or at least swampy areas where water tends to drain towards that pad. What do we gotta do?
Oh, that's simple, Adbeel.
In theory.
We just raise the building higher. We just bring in more dirt, and that will raise the slab, so we prevent any water from seeping underneath the base rail, and eventually our customers having an indoor swimming pool.
And we are not experts in swimming pools. We are experts in metal buildings.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, but we can and we do direct water away from metal buildings. I love what we do. So that is something that we also do with our grading, basically a drainage plan to be able to control the direction and flow of the water. We prepare your site. Definitely something we can do. And also, at times, it might be needed to do stem wall. And we did that. Stem walls can be recommended for two scenarios that I can think of right now. It's basically if your ground is really off level, you can just cut through, create a wall of concrete and sit your building on top, which also can help for water from coming inside through your building. So that is another way that we can work around those type of scenarios.
Yes.
That can create a variance in your price of your site.
All right, so another factor is how many doors are going into your building.
Now let's get back to the drawing board. So we actually had one client, Steve Griffin, and if I'm remembering clearly, there was a door here, there was a door in the front gable, a door on the side, and then the other side. But there was a lot of off-levelness on the front. I can't remember exactly how much off-levelness. However, let's just assume it was 18 inches. And if you look at the black here, my Bob Ross artwork.
Best.
The black here is how much off levelness here. So assuming this was 18 inches off level, and you can tell that up and to the worst to back, we get to level basically, where our base point. So you can see here that as we go towards the front, is off levelness.
Right.
In these type of scenarios, Blanca, which we actually run into a lot, what would we recommend during the site prep visit?
Okay, so evidently being 18 inches off level, automatically I'm gonna tell you, you're not gonna be able to access your building whatsoever. But there's a great solution here. For this end, I would definitely recommend an approach. But with this height being so high off the ground, we wouldn't just put a slab of 4 inches, which is very standard on our approaches. We would actually have to add a footer. That way, the water doesn't wash out underneath all the dirt that's been compacted, so we can lay down your slab, we'll have to actually reinforce that so you can drive in and out knowing that your approach is going to sustain that weight.
And be
right?
solid, yeah.
Exactly. However, on this side, this is where we can get away with possibly just a compacted gravel with your crushed stone. Something that's going to still save you in cost and it's still going to work, but you can never go wrong with concrete.
Definitely not. And I mean, that would be like a little nice approach. You're probably going to be seeing some of the projects that we've done where we've done really nice approaches. I love them. I think they look amazing. And it really just makes it a lot easier to access your building.
Yes.
If you're more than 5 inches off the ground, it's going to be very hard for you to access your building unless we compact some ground, extra dirt, or we do what Blanca has mentioned.
And another factor that happens about 85% of the time for our projects is a pump. Talk to me about that, Adbeel.
A pump, okay. So we have 36-ton trucks, or concrete trucks, or even the dirt trucks that weigh a lot. If we don't have a way to access your property, and the only way is to go through your really beautiful, nice driveway, we can make a really big mess out of that driveway. And for that reason, we don't want to drive big, heavy equipment or trucks over that beautiful driveway, and we're going to need a pump. And Blanca will explain what a pump is.
Yeah, of course. So there's two options. There's a boom pump, which comes on a truck, and it shoots over the pad, and then it comes back down, and it just pours smoothly all around your pad. So that's one option. The second option is the hose pump. It typically runs up to 300 feet, runs the whole length of the driveway and accesses the backyard and onto the pad. That way we can pour with ease. So those are the two options. They do come at an additional cost, but it definitely makes a difference by not destroying your beautiful concrete driveways.
It's very, very critical. It's something that we look into and then we make sure, because we don't want to be dealing with it. We did have that happen recently, and we still had a pump. It was just even at the corner of it, and we had to, we actually redid that portion of that concrete for our client. So that's super important, and we more than likely will not do the project if we can't get that pump, because we don't want to be liable unless you want to take responsibility for that. And so those are all the factors that affect the site prep costs. And again, those are dirt, how much dirt we're gonna bring, and the work to level and grade, prepare that site. Now, we need to remove some trees. If we need to reinforce your footers and pumps and approaches. Those are some of them. Obviously, if there's some like retaining walls, stem walls needed, special situations, those are all determined when we go out to assess your site. That's how we will determine the site prep costs. And so that leads to our next question that we get. Why is it that site prep is not included in our original quote, or just over the phone or via email? And for the reasons I just mentioned. We have to go out to the site. We have to look at the job site. That will allow us to really determine the full scope of the project and complete everything for you. We are a company that really likes to be very thorough and have that project broken down to cover everything. We don't like to give a surprise, oh, we missed this or we missed that. We like to do everything, and once we move forward, that's what it is. That's the price. That's what it is, and we take full responsibility for it. And for that reason, we need to go out to the job site to fully complete the bid and get this project going.
Definitely. And as experts, we come in with the proper equipment and tools to make sure that we are taking the time to get the appropriate levels so that we can bid you the correct amount of dirt and concrete for your location. These are not typically seen with the naked eye. That's something that we can easily hit or miss, and we don't want to hit that stone on the road, no pun intended, when we begin your project. So that's something to consider. All right, and the last question is site prep affected by permitting?
Yes, it can be. Couple examples. Engineers might require specific subgrade, select fill, or a base. Sometimes it has to be engineered. Or also there's a certain way of compacting that they might want it to level the ground.
Okay.
Okay. The other thing is, if you're like in a flood zone, I'm not an expert at that. Cassandra is, and basically we went through it for Austin.
Yeah.
How long was that? 6 months?
Yeah, without keeping track, about 6 months.
6 months of just, it has to be engineered to find the right elevations of how to drain and prepare the ground. So, but that's 6 months was actually pretty lucky because average is about a year to get whatever it is for FEMA. It's a big ordeal. So if you're buying property in a flood zone, just keep in mind for your development, do your research on that. And that should be it.
All right, guys. Well, customers will always say that their site is flat. Texas is flat, right? Well, these things are not seen with the naked eye. So one tip I do have for our customers is if you have a fence on your property, go ahead and check that out. See if it's actually fully flat or leveled. If not, another thing you will notice is that it may just follow the ground line, and that will kind of give you an idea whether your site is pretty level or if it's not.
That's a great trick. That's a great trick. And guys, don't forget to subscribe because we got a project that we're gonna be doing a lot of site prep coming up, and that video should be coming in soon, and that's for Austin. We're bringing how many yards of dirt again?
680 yards.
So, and it's just a residential project, and it's gonna need a lot of site preparation. It is in a flood zone, so stay tuned. And guys, if you guys really like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. That way we can answer them for you. So we'll see you guys in the next video.